better be untied by this.
Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, ladies and gentlemen, and it's now your duty to sit down and to try and separate the facts from the fantasy. One man is dead, the life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt to your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and lawfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you.
The jury may retire.
He doesn't stand a chance. Thank you.
Hey, you have something? I don't have lots of things. I'm an advertiser. No, it is hot. I never remember that being funny. I suppose not. I never forgot. It's a long day. They wore a toilet that couldn't describe. I mean, you think they'd leave the air conditioner place? I almost dropped dead in court. My taxes are running out. This should go fast anyway.
Yeah, it's just tough. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, just knock. I'm right outside.
You locked that door.
Yes,
What do you think we are, crooks? They locked us up for a little while. They locked that kid up forever, and it's okay by me.
You know, I never knew they did that. Of course they did that. What did you think? Just didn't know. It never occurred to me.
Should we all admit right now that it's hot and humid and that our tempers are going to be running just a little bit short?
It's been a pretty hard week. I feel just fine. I know what's going on at the office. You know, there's an advertising. 6 days I can lose my job, and the whole company too. Friends are like this. Well, figure this is our duty. I didn't object to doing my duty. I think we said I have a job by the time I get back. Ask him to hire you. He's rich. Look at the suit. Is it custom Taylor?
Yes, it is.
I have nothing from Taylor.
Really? How does he do?
Not too well. Anyway, there's a friend of his, that's a friend of mine from Taylor. Well, he wanted to be on the jury in my place.
Geez, why didn't you let him? I mean, I would have done anything to get out of this stupid thing.
And get caught or something? Do you have any idea the kind of fine you have to pay for anything like that? Well, anyway, his friend, he was on a jury about 10 years ago, a case just like this one. So what happened? He was let off, reasonable doubt. You know, they found out about 8 years later he'd actually done it. A guilty man, a murderer, sitting just on the street.
Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in double jeopardy. Unless there's a hung jury, you can't try a man twice for the same crime.
That is not going to happen here.
6 days. We should have done it too. I mean, talk. Did you ever hear so much talk about nothing? Well, I guess there are. Everyone gets a fair trial. And that's the system. Suppose you can't say anything against it.
Hey, what do you think about that business about tonight? I mean, did you ever hear a phonier story in all of your life?
Well, look, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Right. He said he bought it in his head.
Yeah, and then he lost it.
A hole in his pocket?
No, there's a hole in his spot.
An awful way to kill your father, right in his chest.
Well, look at the type of people they are. You know them. Yeah, these hot weather colds can kill you.
You know, I had one last summer while I was on vacation, too.
All right, remember we take our seats.
All right. It better be fast. You know, I've got tickets to see Pax tonight. I think I'm probably the only person in the entire world that hasn't seen it yet.
All right, Your Honor, let's start the show. How about taking a seat? You at the window? How about taking a seat? Oh, sorry.
Stuff to figure, ain't it? The kid killed his father. Big, just like that. That's the argument, I suppose. They let their kids run wild, maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs than some emotion you may have. Perhaps a dislike for a certain group.
Hey, we all agree it was hot.
I thought our tempers were working.
Now that's the disagree. Now this is open and shut. Let's start the show.
All right. Now you all can handle this any way you want to. Not going to make any rules here. If you want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way, or we can take a vote now and see where we stand.
Well, why don't we vote now? I mean, who knows? Maybe we could all go home.
Yeah, let's see where we stand.
Right, let's vote now.
All right, let's vote. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
Okay. All those voting guilty, raise your hand. 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 votes guilty, not guilty.
Hey, you're in left field.
11 to 1. 11 votes guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe the kid's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, she doesn't know?
6 days I can learn calculus. ABC.
I don't think it's as easy as ABC. I've never seen a guilty-looking man in my life.
What's a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say that he was guilty, or we don't know.
You sat in court and saw the same things I do. He's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
Where do you look to see if a man is a dangerous killer? No, tell me what facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe he knows something I don't.
Look, what is it about the case that makes you believe that the boy's innocent?
19 years old. That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid?
I agree with you that the boy's guilty, but I think we ought to try to avoid any emotional arguments.
Okay. They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them? No.
Do you believe the stupid story the kid told?
Now hold on.
Do you believe the kid's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't. Then what did you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not as easy for me to raise my hand and send the boy after I was talking about it.
Well, who says it was easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
The boy's just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard vote.
No, wait, was there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
I think the kid's guilty. I don't think you could change my mind if you talk for 100
I don't
years.
want to change your mind.
And just what are you after?
I just want to talk to him. Look, the kid's been knocked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9 years old. He's not a very good son. He's a tough, angry kid. You don't know why he would get that way? You knock him over the head once a day, every day. Think the only few words, that's all.
All right, it's hard. Sure, it's hard. It was hard for me, too. I've had to fight for everything I've got. I worked my way through college, and that was a long time ago, and perhaps you forget. I've fought, but I've never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
Yeah, every picture on too. You should work in an ad agency, the big boy that buys the advertising walks in. We all know.
In my country, South Africa, just keeping with the science, let's try to find something better than that.
Look, I don't mind telling you this, lady. We don't owe the kid a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what that trial costs? He's lucky he got it. We're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us we're supposed to believe a word he says, knowing what he is. I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe anything they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right. It's not Sunday. You don't need a sermon.
What this man says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we can all behave like civilized human beings.
Right, all right. You're said.
Thank you. Now, if we're going to discuss this case, I think we should begin by discussing the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have our job to do. Let's do it.
If you don't mind, I'm going to close the window.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to keep it open.
Yeah.
It's blowing on me.
It's the summer. Don't you want a little air? It's hot.
It's uncomfortable.
There are 11 of us in this room. It's the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rights.
Well, so do the rest of us.
Couldn't you switch chairs with somebody at the other side of the table?
All right. I'll open the window if someone will trade.
Oh, take my...
convince this woman that she's wrong and we're right. Maybe we each talk for a minute or two. You know, try on the side.
That sounds fair enough.
Very fair.
How would you want to go down the jury? Let's do it. We'll begin with you. Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. In what way was it obvious? I mean that nobody could have done otherwise. The young past is otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof lies on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. In the Constitution. Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Well, sure I've heard that. I know that he is. It's just that, well, I just think he's guilty. No reason. Guilty. Please, there is a life at stake here. Okay. Let's start with the facts. Number one. Let's start with the old man who lives in the apartment on the second floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. At about 10 minutes after midnight, the night of the killing, he heard a loud noise in the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard a body falling. He went to the door, opened it, looked out and saw the kid running downstairs and out into the street. He called the police. They came and found the father with a knife in his chest. And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight. Right. What more do you want? It just doesn't fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. Now, he claims he went to the movies that night. Isn't that a little bit ridiculous? He couldn't even remember what movie he saw.
That's right. Listen to this guy. He's absolutely right.
You didn't have any tickets, though.
What did you take that was the movie?
That's true enough.
I suppose the cashier didn't even remember.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
What about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
Right, she saw the gun, didn't she?
Let's go and
Hold on. There's a woman lying in bed. She can't sleep. It's hot, you know? She looks out of the window, and she sees the kid stick the knife into his father. She saw it.
How could she really be sure she saw it when she saw through the windows of a passing elevated plane?
She's known the kid all his life. His window is directly opposite hers, across the L tracks. And she swears she saw him do it.
I heard her swear.
And they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing elevated train and see what happens on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a few minutes ago that you couldn't trust them? That you couldn't believe them?
So?
Well, let me ask you this. How come you believed her? Isn't she one of them?
You're a pretty smart chick, aren't you?
Now, take it easy. Come on, girl, sit down. There's no use letting her get you all upset. Relax.
Ladies and gentlemen, they did take us to the woman's house, and we did look through the windows of the passing elevated train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And we were able to see what happened on the other side, weren't we?
I didn't see as well as they told me I'd be able to see. Yes, I saw what was happening on the other side.
You see? Do you see?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's good. You? I don't know. I started thinking it, you know. The testimony of those people from the heart. What did they say something about arguing between the father and the son on cousin class?
I believe it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
It's right 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice, and then they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right. Turn it up. He stole a car. I mean, I think they said that he stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
So he's been arrested for knife fighting. And he's in reform school by the time he's 15 years old. And he's sent to reform school for knife fighting. Gee, so would I have a kid like that. Right. The kids there, I mean, they don't listen. I got a kid. He's 8 years old, he better wait for the fight. Sorry. I'm so ashamed. I thought, I would make a man out of Juror. When he's 15 years old, he hit me in the face. He's a big kid, you know? I haven't seen him in 3 years. I hate tough kids. I mean, you work your heart out for him and...
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's the product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, and so do you. Children who come from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of it. I've lived in a slum all my life. Wait a second. I used to clean the backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe you can still smell it on me.
Now, let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There was something personal.
All right. Calm down now, fellas. He didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive about it.
I can understand the sense.
Let's stop the bickering and birthday time. It's your turn.
All right.
I have a very strange feeling about this. Somehow I felt the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. There were too many questions never asked.
While it doesn't change my opinion about the boy's guilt, still, the defense counsel was pretty mad.
So,
But this is the point.
what about the facts?
There were so many questions never even answered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's take the cute little switchblade. You know, the one the nice, upstanding kid admitted to buying. All right.
Let's take a look at it again. Hold on, let's see.
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to see it again. What do you think?
The woman has the right to see the exhibits and evidence.
Okay by me?
The switchblade is a pretty strong piece of evidence. Wouldn't you agree? So, let's get the sequence of events correct as they relate to the switchblade.
Okay. Boy admits to leaving his house at 8 o'clock, right after being shot by a car. What time?
Or punched. Next, he went down to the neighborhood store where he bought the switchblade. The store owner was arrested the following day when he admitted to selling it to the boy.
It was a pretty unusual looking knife. I mean, I think it's pretty hard to get something like that.
The storekeeper identified it the following day and said it was the only one of its kind in stock. Now, why did he get it?
He said it was a present for a friend of his.
Am I right so far?
Yes, you're right.
Next, he claims that while he was on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his pocket and he never saw it again. That's the story. We all know what happened. He took the knife home, and a couple of hours later, he used it to stab his father, and he even remembered to wipe away the fingerprints. Excuse me. Now, everyone connected with the case has identified the knife. Are you trying to make us believe that somebody found the knife lying on the street, picked it up, took it to the boy's house, and stabbed the boy's father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost it and that somebody else stabbed his father with a similar looking knife.
Look at this knife. I've never seen one quite like it before in my life. And neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us believe a pretty incredible coincidence?
No, I'm not trying to make anybody believe it. I'm simply saying that it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible. Oh. What are you trying to pull?
What's going on here? It's the same
Be
knife.
quiet, let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
Bought it in a little junk store around the corner from the boy's house. Now you listen to me.
It cost $10. I'm listening.
You pulled a really cute trick here, but you've proved absolutely zero. So there are 10 knives that look like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know
And
it.
maybe he didn't. Maybe he did lose a knife, and maybe he did go to lose. Maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him was because he seen him lose. And maybe he was ashamed to say so.
Is there anybody here who never snuck into the movie once or twice when they were young?
I didn't.
Really?
Not even once. He didn't have one.
Oh.
Maybe he did go to you. And maybe he did. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
That's a stupid question. Of course he lied.
You?
You don't have to ask me. You know my answer. He lied.
You think he lied? Hey, wait a second here. What are you, the guy's lawyer? I mean, there are still 11 of us in this room who thinks he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, then go ahead. Because the kid will be tried again and found guilty sure as he's born. You're probably right. Then what are you going to do about it? I mean, we could be here all night.
It's only one night.
Oh,
A man may die.
come on now. Yes, that's true. Can we get on with it? Yes, let's get on with it.
What do you think of this kid?
It's up to you. You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't believe the boy's guilty.
I have a doubt.
But you haven't given us anything to make it possible for us to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy scream
And the
out.
woman across the street, she saw it.
And we know the kid bought a knife that night, and we don't know where he was. At the movie? And earlier that night, the boy and his father did have a fight.
This kid's been a violent kid all the way, and while that doesn't prove anything,
Still, you know it?
I want to call for another vote. I want 11 of you vote on the ballot. I'll abstain. There's still 11 votes for guilty. I won't stand alone. Take the guilty verdict right now.
That sounds fair.
Let's do it. Throw it.
That's just the best.
Guilty? 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 Guilty. That's 6. Please. Guilty? 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think they have a right to know.
All right, what idiot wouldn't change their vote?
How do we talk about a man's life?
Whose life are we talking about? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer?
I want to know. So do I.
This is a secret ballot.
I don't care what it was when we did it, but now I want to
A
know.
secret ballot, no? We agree upon this point. If the person wants to remain a secret, then I just
No! Besides, I know who did it. What's the matter with you? When you come in here and you vote guilty, and then this slick preacher starts giving you stories about slum kids just couldn't help becoming murderers, and you go and change your vote. If that isn't the most disgusting...
Now hold it.
Let's be fair. I agree with you that the boy's guilty, but let's avoid emotion.
Hold it. Be fair. That's just what I'm trying to do here. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, you want to get organized?
It's not organized. But let's try to be civilized.
Please. That's something I'd like to say. I always thought that a person was allowed to have unpopular opinions in this country. This is why I came. I wanted to have the right to
Do
disagree.
you disagree with us?
Usually, I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I'm trying to make is that in my country, I'm ashamed
Oh,
to say...
now, do you have to listen to the history of your whole country?
It's always wise to bear in mind what happens in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to know what made you change your vote.
So do I. You haven't told us yet.
What makes you think I did change?
Because I do. Now tell us why.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote, I did.
Gonna tell you you're so sure of yourself.
Sorry. All right, start.
Where do you like to
Yes,
go
I'd like
on?
to tell you a thing or two
The
about
these young ladies who have not to stand alone against us. That's her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strong. She left the verdict up to us. She gambled for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. Vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If the speech is over, let's get on with it.
If there were anything in the boy's favor, I'd be willing to vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're grasping at straws.
As guilty as they get. That's it.
It's that one juror that's holding out, but she'll come around. She has to, and fundamentally she's a reasonable woman.
I suppose so.
They haven't really given us one piece of evidence to justify a not guilty verdict.
Hard, you know?
Yes, it is. What does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
What's the reason for that?
Exactly. When there's a life on the line, what is a reasonable doubt? You have to have law and order. You have to draw the line somewhere. Otherwise, everyone would go out and start knifing people.
Oh, down here.
2 jurors seem to believe that there is. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
There have been cases when innocent men have gone to jail, or died sometimes, and then years later, things turn out.
On the other hand, sometimes people get loose and they do it again. They squeeze out on some technicality, and they go and they murder again.
Listen, buddy, about what happened before. I got a little excited. I didn't mean to get nasty.
It's okay.
Hey, look. Supposing you tell me one thing. If the boy didn't kill his father, then who did? As far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to decide whether or not to go on a trial. We're not considering anybody else's motive here. Yeah, but who else had it? The boy's father was long years, maybe no grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everybody's a lawyer. Why don't you tell us what your reasonable doubts are?
This is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. Feeling. Perhaps you don't understand.
No, I don't.
Feeling? Are we going to talk about your feelings all night? What about the facts?
You said it now. Listen. Old man heard the boy say, I'm going to kill you, after hearing his fight upstairs. He then heard his body fall, and 1 second later, ran to his door, and 15 seconds saw the kid running downstairs and out to the street.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that, right? And what about the woman across the street? She looked through the open window, and she saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, that's not enough for you.
Not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd really like to know.
How do you like this, lady? I mean, it's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman across the street saw the murder through the windows of the elevated train. The train had 5 cars. She saw the murder through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
What do you have to say about that? I don't know, it just doesn't sound right. Well, supposing you think about it for a while. Then you'll hear. Might as well play a little game of hangman. Well, she sits and thinks about it. It's not a game. Hey, what do you think you're doing? This man's life is Who do you think you are? Hey, let's take it easy. Did you see her? The nerve, the absolute nerve. Please, I don't want to be fussed in here. I had half mine to go around and punch her. Please.
Forget about it. Didn't mean it.
But how about sit down? Did you see her?
So, weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
All right.
How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed to pass city point?
what has that got to do with anything?
How long would it take to check?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
I don't think they mentioned it.
What do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe?
I said that was a fair guess. Anybody else?
Say about 10 seconds.
About 10 seconds, yeah.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. And that given point is the window of the bedroom in which the murder took place. You can almost reach out the window and touch the out, right?
That's right, I tried.
So,
All right, let me ask you this. How
ever live next to the outback?
I live close enough.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I live right next to the outback. When your window is open and the train is going by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't even hear yourself think.
Yeah, so you can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
Old man downstairs heard the voice say,
He didn't say it, he screamed it.
old man downstairs heard the boy scream, I'm going to kill you. 1 second later, he heard a body. 1 second, that's the court's testimony, right? Right. We went across the street, but she saw the murder through the windows of the last 2 trains of the hour. Right?
Right.
So, the last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
Now it takes 10 seconds to pass through this one, 2 seconds per car. That house was going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds or maybe more before the body fell toward his window. That means the old man would have had to hear the boy say, I'm going to, as the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not even possible that he could have heard him say it.
What do you say? Of course he could have heard it.
There's an L train going by.
The boy screamed at the top of his lungs.
L train is a lot more.
Enough for me.
It's enough for me, too. I don't think you could have heard it.
Maybe the old man did hear it. And was the old man? What are you people saying? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Who's 7-6?
Well, it stands to reason.
What are you saying? Why would the old man make a story like that?
Paying attention? Wait.
You keep coming up with these clever statements. Why don't you send one into a newspaper? They pay $2.
Talk about a man's life. Why might the old man have lied? He has a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was torn under the arm. Did you notice that? He was an old man with a torn jacket and he carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life, who has never had any recognition. His name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, be questioned, and listened to, and quoted just once. This is very important.
You're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just so he could be important.
No. He wouldn't really lie. Or perhaps he made himself believe he had heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that is the most fantastic story I've ever heard. Why would he make up something like that?
He didn't make it up. He made himself believe he told the truth.
He must have made it up. People don't lie about things like that.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
I am the same man.
I think we understand now. Thank you.
Well, if you want to admit you're a liar, go right ahead.
That's too much.
He just said he was a liar.
I'm not saying he's a liar, he's explaining.
Didn't you just say you're a liar?
Explaining the circumstances so that we might understand why the old man might have lied. There is a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Have some compassion. Please, we have our job and our duty here.
I think they've covered it.
I hope we have. Anything else? Talk up. Anybody want to talk up? Can we get on with this? All right. There's one other thing I'd like to point out. I think we've proved that the old man cannot possibly heard the boy say I'm going to kill him.
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear her through anyway.
Supposing he had heard the boy say I'm going to kill him. This spring, how many times did each of us use it? Probably hundreds. If you do that one more time, then I'll murder you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We use it every single day. That does not mean we're going to go out and murder someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
One thing more. The phrase was I'm going to kill you. And the boy screamed at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understand it.
You say something like that the way the boy said it. You mean it.
How do you mean it?
All right, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would shout out such a thing so that the whole neighborhood would hear us? I really don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right. He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't.
This boy's clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
I'd like,
9 guilty, 3 not guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your vote.
Well, there's a doubt.
Where? Where is there a doubt?
There's a knife.
Oh, fine.
She talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on. Give us your reasons.
Well, the old man too. I mean, maybe the old man didn't like it, then just maybe he did. Maybe the old man didn't like it too.
Oh, well, if that isn't the end.
I just believe that there's a reason to doubt.
What are you basing it on? Stories that this lady made up? I mean, she ought to write for the Amazing Detective Monthly. She'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why did the lawyer come up with all these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, God. You come in here and pull stories out of thin air. And now you expect us to believe that the old man didn't get out of his bed, run down his hallway to his front door, and see the kid beating it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing.
That's the testimony, I believe.
Wait, did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference?
Well, I mean, I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run to the door.
He said he went. I remember it now. He said he went from the bedroom to the front door. Now that's enough, isn't it?
Where's his bedroom here?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere. Are we to send the boy up to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
Well, I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
Neither do I.
Foreman, I'd like to take another look at the guys on the apartment. Geez, why don't we have him rerun the trial? Maybe then you can get everything straight. The bedroom is down the hall somewhere. You know. You know exactly where it is. Please, there is a life at stake. You know. Foreman, I heard you. All right, well, what's this one for? I mean, why are you the only one who's flying to see all these things?
I want to see this one too.
So do I.
And I want to stop wasting time.
We're not going to start going through all that nonsense about where the body was found, are we?
No, we're going to find out how a man who's had 2 strokes in the last 3 years and walks to the parachute and gets the front door in 15 seconds. He said 20 seconds. He said 15. He's an old man. He can't judge that kind of thing.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. Half the time he's confused. I mean, how can he be positive about anything? Well, who knows? No, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Excuse me? Is what you wanted?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. What's that?
Hey, do me a favor. Wake me up when this thing is over.
I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough. There's so much more to do.
Please, go on.
This is the apartment in which the murder took place. The old man's apartment is exactly the same as the rest of the So here are the L tracks, the bedroom, another bedroom, the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom. Here's the hallway and the front door, and these are the stairs to the apartment. The old man was asleep in this room. He got up, walked down to the hall, and went to the front door and opened the front door just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story.
That's what happened. All in 15 seconds.
Correct.
The old man's bed is next to the window. It's 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hallway is 43 feet 6 inches. The old man would have had to get out of bed, get his cane, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and open the front door, all in 15 seconds.
Do you really think that this is possible?
Of course it's possible. I don't see why not.
If his boy screamed, he would have been in a hurry.
He can only walk very slowly.
You
They
make
had
it
help
seem-
in his wheelchair.
You make it seem like it's a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses canes in a long walk.
What are you doing?
I want to try it. Just see how long it goes. And it takes off 12 feet, the length of the bedding.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we can see it. This is an important point.
It's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of.
I can't see any harm in it. It's foolish, but go ahead.
Come to find the chair. Okay, this is the bedding room. How far would you say this is here from here to the front door? I'd say it's about 20 feet. Just about 20 feet close enough. From here to the door and back is about 40 feet. A little bit shorter than the length of the hall that the old man had to move through, isn't that so?
This is completely insane. What makes you think that you can do this?
We can't stop. Do you mind if I try? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. You can certainly spare that. Have you ever washed a second hand? I have. When you want me to start, stand your foot. That'll be the bottom of the hall. Time is there. You were just saying you just came out of bed, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm waiting for the hand
Speed it up. You walk twice as fast.
This is, I think, even more quicker than the old man. Of course not.
No, it's not.
If you want me to speed it up, I will.
Speed it up a little.
Stop. What's the time? 15, 20, 30, 39 seconds. Exactly. Hey, wait a minute.
39 seconds?
Hey, now.
Now that's interesting.
39 seconds. 39.
And the old man swore on his oath that it only took him 15.
She may have been moving off the speed that the old cripple walked with 24 seconds on. Well, now you know.
Far be it from me to call anyone a liar. Still, allowing for quite a difference in the speed between you and the old man, there's still quite a
Quite a discrepancy.
My guess is the old man was trying to get to the front door, heard somebody racing down the stairs, and assumed that it was the boy. I think that's possible.
Assume. Now, I see all kinds of dishonesty in my neighborhood. This little display just takes the cake.
What's dishonesty?
Tell him. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and justice, and you've got a couple of soft-hearted old ladies listening to you, but I've had just about enough. What's the matter with you people? We have a guilty boy here. He's got a turn letting him slip through our fingers.
David. Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to flip the switch.
This kid? Oh, you bet I let him pull the switch.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up! Shut up!
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. God, David.
Let me go! I'm gonna kill him! Let me go!
You don't really mean you're gonna kill me.
anything wrong, ladies and gentlemen? I heard some noise.
No, nothing's wrong. But you can take this. We're finished with it.
What are you all looking at?
I don't see any need for behaving like children here.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility here. This is the remarkable thing about democracy. That we are notified. We're notified by mail to come down to this place and decide the guilt or innocence of a man. We have not known this man. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is why we are strong. We should not make this personal.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank you?
You forget? It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad we're going to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere. No, we're still there. We're getting there.
Maybe.
We started again. I think maybe we should try another time.
It's all right with me. Anybody else want to vote?
Let's go.
Let's do it at first.
I want to open ballot. Let's call it a vote. I want to see who is where. All right, I'll go down the river. I'll start with me. I say guilty. Number 2? Not. 3? Guilty. 4?
Guilty.
5?
Not guilty.
6? 7?
Guilty.
8?
Not guilty.
9?
Not guilty.
10?
Guilty.
11?
Not guilty.
12?
Guilty.
That's 6 to 6.
I'll tell you something. Crime's being committed right here in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to go into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in going on with this.
I want to know why you changed your mind. And why you changed your mind and why you did. There are 6 jurors here who believe we're about to turn a murderer loose into the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
Well, it would seem that the old man did not see the word without experience. I do not think it much that the old man heard someone scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old man dreamed. And of course, his scream is he was going to kill him. But we have the authority of this one. Truthfully, I not really knew this one.
Look, why don't we just take it into the judge and let the kid take his chance with 12 other people?
6 to 6. Tell me over again.
It's got to be unanimous, and we're not going to convince her.
First, I was alone. Now 5 others agree. There is a doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there is a doubt because I know that there isn't no
I'll
doubt.
tell you what. Maybe we are on the jury. It happens sometimes. We're not going to be a hung jury.
But we are right now a perfect balance. Can't we just take it into the judge?
If there's a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
Got it there in mind.
I think we should take a vote.
What do you think, vote?
On whether or not we're a hung jury.
You can vote yes, we are a hung jury, or no, we're not a hung jury.
That's what I was thinking of.
We can't even decide whether or not to have a window.
Let's make a
If 7 or more of us vote yes, then it is a hung jury. Then we go in and tell the judge that we're a hung jury?
Right. And if 7 more of us vote no, then we are a hung jury and we go on discussing it.
It doesn't seem quite right to me.
It's the only way.
I agree. It's the only solution. Anything to end.
Everyone agrees? 7 more, we take it to the judge?
Let's call it a vote.
I say yes, we are a hung jury. 2?
No.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5?
No.
6?
No.
7?
Yes.
8?
No.
9?
No.
10?
Yes.
11?
No.
12?
Yes.
Majority to decide whether or not we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority vote on this question. I didn't believe in voting that way, not really. And I still don't. I'm changing my vote to no. We are not a hung jury. I believe this boy is guilty of murder. And there's some things I want to know from those of you who have changed your mind.
Then we are a hung jury. So we go on. Good. We go on.
Why did you change your vote?
She seems so sure of herself, and she made several good points. Well, she knows it's mad. Don't everybody.
Are you going to let the anger and the insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you willing to turn a murderer loose onto the streets because another juror gets upset when she believes that a murderer is being turned loose? But there's a doubt. I don't think so. The tracks are straight in front of the window. Let's take that. The L train would have made a low, mumbling noise. L trains only make loud, screeching noises when they go around curves. So the old man could have heard the scream, which was high-pitched. And its attendant has been lost. And what if the old man were wrong about the time it took him to get from the bedroom to the front door, but correct about whom he saw coming down the stairs? And please remember, it was the middle of summer, and there were no fingerprints found at the scene, so gloves don't seem very likely.
I want you all to listen to this man. He knows what he's saying.
And it may have taken a second or two to get out a handkerchief and to wipe the fingerprints away.
That's a good point.
Why don't we just sign this one, see? Just what are we turning?
All I'm saying is that the old man downstairs may have been wrong about the time it took him to get from the bedroom to the front door, but correct about whom he saw coming down the stairs. I think the murderer could have taken 39 seconds to wipe away the fingerprints and to get down the stairs to the point where the old man saw him. The boy, that is.
Right. We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door in time for that. Let's reconstruct the actual crime.
Well, if we can reconstruct.
Well, I think a murderer could have used about 30 or 40 seconds at this point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Let's do it. Why don't you do the stabbing?
No, I'll do it.
Why don't you be the one who gets stabbed? You're younger than I am. And remember, you take 1 second to fall.
The old man was found on his side, his right side. So when you fall, please fall on your right side. Now, if someone hates someone else enough to murder them, don't you suppose that it's reasonable that the murderer would take at least a second or two to look over his victim?
Divorce yourself in this particular case. You believe in nature.
Yes, that doesn't reasonable. So wait a minute. The old man falls and ends up on his right side. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even when it's straight in the heart. Maybe the father moved about a bit for a few seconds on the floor, writhing.
Quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to sustain him for 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
Well, wouldn't the father have tried that?
Maybe the boy covered his mouth. That's also possible.
Also, there's one other thing we ought to try to bring out here. If someone is clear enough mentally to wipe away fingerprints after committing a murder, then that person would also be clear enough mentally to look around the apartment or the room in this case, to see if there were any other clues left behind. It would only take a second or two, but still, I should think he'd do it.
This gets better and better.
We're only trying to be clear here. One doesn't talk about quality when murder's involved. So let's do it.
About this about the fingerprints, the boy wiped the fingerprints off the knife. What about the doorknob? If I saw a man walking into my house, a man who hated me and he took the time to take out a handkerchief and wipe the doorknob, well, it would give me an uneasy feeling. So he must have done an act of killing, which would have taken seconds.
You time the last one. Why don't you time this one too? Step to court when you want me to begin.
I'm waiting for the handkerchief.
I'm going to kill you. You would wipe both of the knobs. All right, stop.
Okay, 15, 20, 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
Whoever did murder the old man, I still believe it was the boy, still would have had to go down the hall and down the stairs at least one time.
You see? Do you see?
In view of this, I think it's quite reasonable to assume that the old man did see the boy coming down the stairs.
Right. Both times he gets checked, the one we did and the one you did. And what was running downstairs and everything, they both pretty much check it out of time.
So it's an old man who just wants attention. I mean, he is probably right. But the old man feels the way everybody does. There's a life at stake here.
So the old man's story may very well be true.
Let's look back. You are under oath and being spoken to.
We seem to all agree that it was 25, 40.
You are now admitting that the old man lied in one case and told the truth in the other. I admit self-defense concerning the old man's story. But in part he now becomes a liar. And that is by your own admission. That may be true that the old man lied in part, but I think it was taken as all once more. Guilty. How about you? What do you think? I'm not sure about it. I want to talk to him. At first I thought guilty, but actually, now I'm not sure about guilty. How about you?
Oh, no. I'm now a real gal. Real. Say guilty, I was right the first time.
All right. Now it makes some sense in here. Seems we've got 9-3 in favor of guilty. There's one other question about the old man who lived down the street. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I think.
What's that?
Well, I do not live in a tenement, but it is close. And there's just enough light in the hallway to see the steps. No more. The light bulbs are very, very small. And this murder took place in a tenement. Remember how we stumbled on the steps?
The police officers were using big bulbs. One of them even had a flashlight, remember?
And the old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds, on this we all agree. This same old man looked down the dark hallway of the tenement and recognized the running figure.
He was 100% wrong about the time. He was twice as wrong as he was.
Then could not the old man have been 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of. You pointed out a thin air. Let's be honest about it.
Does anyone still find no room for reasonable doubt?
I do.
I beg your pardon, but perhaps you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? Get a load of this guy. I mean, he comes here running for his life, and then before he can even take a big breath, he's telling us how to run the show. Arrogance of him.
Nobody here is asking where anyone else came from,
I was born right here.
or where your father came from.
Perhaps we should listen to those who come running here. Maybe they learned something we don't know. We're not so perfect.
Please, I'm used to this. It's all right. Thank
No,
you.
it's not all right. All right. I apologize. Is that what you want? Yes, that's what I want. Can we stop the arguing? All right, let's get going here. Who's got something constructive to say? Well, something's forgotten. All this is about the knife down the lane off it here. We're not going to get into all the business about the knife. And they went over and over in court. Well, I know they did, but I'm going along with it. The boy was 5 feet 6 inches tall. Tom is 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing to step down to the question of all of you. All right. You're not going to believe it until you see it for yourself. I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. Now please watch carefully. I don't have to do this again. Is that about 6 inches? More than 6 inches. All right. Let's move. Hey, that's fine. All right, calm down. Nobody's hurt, are they? No, nobody's hurt. All right, there's your angle. Down and in. Take a look at it. That's how I stabbed a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Take a look at it. Tell me I'm wrong. Down and in. Yes, no argument. You're stabbing, of course. Did you? Oh, let me silly here. No. Where do you get all your information about how it's done? What do you mean? It's just common sense. Have you ever seen a man stab? No. Let me ask you. The boy was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to his form to put the knife in someone. Isn't that stuff, right? Look at this. Doesn't this seem like an awkward way to handle a knife? Asking me for.
Oh, wait a minute.
the matter with me. Let me sit down.
Did you ever see a nice fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies.
In my backyard. On my stoop. A vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch that thing with the neighborhood where I live. When they didn't think of it before, but just try to get those. Anyway. Anyone who's ever used switch knife, but has never sat down. You don't use it that way. You use it underhand.
The boy possibly could not have made the wound that made him die.
Well, I suppose it's conceivable they could have made the wound, but it's not likely. How does this boy have any experience with switch knife? We all know this boy had a lot of experience with switch knives. I don't believe it. They're giving us a bunch of mumbo jumbo here.
What do you think? Oh, I don't know. Listen, I'm going to tell you all something. I'm getting a little sick of this whole thing already. We're getting nowhere fast. Can't we just pack it up and go home? Can we decide names heaven? Oh, this ought to be good.
She has a right. Let her go ahead.
Shall I time this one too? Let's do it. I'm going to advertise money for the big shots, throwing things together. Let's chip up a few shots and see that right in the green. Okay. We want you all to try to think logically and consistently. We have guilty. Now, this kid was citizen reform for the moment, right?
Right.
The night of the murder, he goes out and buys a switch knife. So then it's a very stupid kid to go out and murder his own thought with an instrument that everyone was associated with. A crime great, stupid. But if he was stupid, why would he go and make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make it for? I'm not trying to understand. Murder a man is a great emotion, a great teacher. And a murderer at this point is doing the best he could. An experienced narcissist would do as he was trained. Understand. A man would not be trained. Go overboard. It is being very smart. Everyone knows that he's an experienced knife fighter, so that moment, he is smart enough to make the kind of wound that an amateur would make. Now, I want to know, is this kid smart, or is he dumb?
The woman across the L track saw the murder of the L train. So someone in that L train could have seen the murder too.
It's a possibility, but no one did that we know of.
We're taking off the dumb man to take back there. Doing the murder under the train on top.
Yeah. A dumb man. A very stupid man. A man swept by emotion. He probably heard nothing. He probably did not even hear the train come by. Whoever murdered the boy's father did it the best he could. Who has done that to every associate itself with the switch knife? Switch knife murder. Then a moment after the murder, becomes smart. Smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect somebody else. And then at the same instant, dumb enough to do that as an elephant turns out. And then a moment later, smart enough to wipe away the fingerprint. To say this boy is smart, you'd have to say that he was dumb from about 8 o'clock until midnight. And then at midnight, for a second, he was smart. And then he becomes dumb again. And then smart, and then again, dumb. And then once again, he becomes stupid. So stupid that he doesn't even wish to get out of. Is this kid smart, or is he dumb? Say this boy is guilty, you have to process emotions like compulsion. There is doubt. Doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
The old man down here, on the stand, swore that 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. Yet we all agree that it must have been at least 40 seconds.
Does the old man lie half the time, and then does he tell the truth the other half of the time?
Say this boy is guilty, you have to say that he was dumb and then smart, and then dumb and then smart, and then dumb and then sober. And also, for this boy to be guilty, the old man downstairs would have to be a liar half the time, the other half the time telling the truth. And really that.
this kid is innocent. I don't have to tell you how those people lie. You know. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you something. They don't need any real big reason to go out and kill either. They just get drunk and bang, someone's lying dead in the gutter. No one's blaming them. That's just the way they are. You know, human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. They're violent. What's going on here? I mean, these people are drinking and fighting all the time. If somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. It's like they don't care. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them. I'm the first to admit that. I've known a few that are pretty decent people. But they're the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. Hey, what's going on here? I'm speaking my piece. And you listen to me. You take it from me. This kid on trial, we better watch out. Well, don't you know about them? I'm trying to tell you something.
I have had enough. If you open your mouth one more time, I'm going to split your skull.
I'm always trying to...
All right, sit down, everybody. I still believe that this boy is guilty of murder, and I'm going to tell you why. To me, the most damning piece of evidence is the testimony of the old woman. She claims that she actually saw the murder today.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony. All right, let's go over the testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She claims that she went to bed at around 11 o'clock that night. Her bed is right next to the open window, and from that window she can, while lying down, look into the window directly across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour. At around 12:10 a.m., she looked out her window, and she saw the boy stab his father. As far as I can tell, this is unshakable testimony.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the whole case.
Well, I don't deny the validity of the points that she made. We say that on one side of the tracks there is some doubt. But what can you say about the testimony of the woman? She actually saw the murder committed. What do you think?
Megan, he's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence. What time is it?
10 minutes to 6.
I suppose I better come on to 6 in the morning. Better sleep for a while.
Not a chance.
You know the boss said you last night? Not clearly.
Taxes are a nuisance, aren't they?
What do you do when you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to know what's happening? I put on my glasses and look at the clock.
I just sit in bed and wait for the clock to chime. My father gave it to us for our wedding. My wife and I. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
You wear your glasses to bed? No, of course not. No one wears eyeglasses to bed. The woman who testified she saw the murder, she wore glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course. The woman wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They looked quite strong.
That's right. Bicycle. She never took them off.
Fine. I hadn't noticed that.
I think it's logical to say she was not wearing her glasses when she went to bed, and I don't think she put them on to casually out the window. And this woman testified that she saw the murder the instant she looked out the window, and that the light went out a split second later. She wouldn't have time to come on then. Perhaps she honestly thought she saw the boy kill her father. I think she only saw his brother. How do you know what she saw? Maybe the woman's farsighted. How did she come up with these things? Is there anyone else here who doesn't believe
always wondered.
I think he's guilty. Anybody else?
No, I'm convinced. There's a reasonable doubt.
You're all alone. The rest of us not guilty. One is guilty. I don't care if I'm alone. I have a right. Yes, you have your right. I think he's guilty. What more do you want? I gave you my argument. You're not convinced. You want to, I guess. Your time. Listen, what's the matter with you? I mean, you're the guy. You're the one with all the arguments. You gotta stick with me here. I mean, a guilty man, a murderer's gonna be loose on the streets. He's gotta burn. You gotta help me.
I'm sorry. Yes. Not all alone, but I was this time. There is a reasonable doubt.
We're waiting. You're not gonna intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. I will be guilty. It'll be a hung jury. That's it.
There's nothing we can do about that. Except hope that maybe sometime, maybe in a few months, you might get to see.
Well, it takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If it is a hung jury, there'll be another trial, and certainly some of us will point these things out to the various lawyers.